I get this question all the time. If I'm a veteran and I'm receiving disability benefits, is the maximum amount I can get is a total rating? And the answer is no. And we're going to talk about in the video what additional compensation you can receive as a veteran if you're receiving disability ratings. Let's talk about it. Some of you may have come to the channel because I did a video on the PACT Act. If you haven't checked that out, go to the playlist under Veterans Benefits and you'll see my video about the PACT Act and some additional compensation you may receive as a result of now being eligible for service-connected disabilities because of your exposures, whether it be in Vietnam, the Persian Gulf War, certain areas where you had toxin exposures. That is another way you get additional compensation. In this video, I'm going to talk about how you can get special monthly compensation and additional compensation for benefits, which include your spouse, some parents, and your children. So I'll start off by saying that I'm an attorney, not your attorney. I'll try to leave in the description box a link to some possible veteran service officers that can represent you or some attorneys that also may represent you. But I personally cannot represent you in this matter. The information I'm providing is really that, information, and it does not establish an attorney-client relationship. If you're new to this channel, hit the subscribe button and hit that thumbs up button. It pushes it out to the YouTube algorithm so that it shares with other veterans just like you who may find this information useful. Okay, I'll try to slow down. I know sometimes I talk fast. I'm from the Northeast area, so bear with me. So today we're going to talk about special monthly compensation and additional benefits for dependents. So they're both housed in Title 38 of the United States Code. And the United States Code, I usually refer to it, if you've seen my other videos, my handy dandy book. This actually is 1 year behind, but it still serves the same purpose. The numbers may be a little bit off because, as you may or may not know, every year the cost of living changes what the compensation rates are. So 38 U.S.C. United States Code 1114 talks about the rates of wartime disability compensation. So it ranks it from 10% to total compensation, right? And because this is behind, I won't read the exact numbers because they won't be up to date. But that's what it's rated as, right? So if you have a 10% rating, you're going to get this, right? That's what it basically talks about. What I'm going to talk to you about today is special monthly compensation based off of service-connected disabilities, right? And I want to make sure that's clear because the United States Code 1114 is each agency interprets the United States Code in a regulation, right? So 1114 is the United States Code, but 3.350 is what the VA uses to interpret the code. I say this because I've seen in the past that veterans and even some representatives that are misinformed submit forms for special monthly compensation saying that the veteran is entitled to additional compensation because of disabilities that are not service connected. And I want to make sure it's clear. It has to be that your service connectability is the sole purpose for the need for special monthly compensation. So you can also have it service-connected disabilities and non-service-connected disabilities, but you have to prove, the evidence have to show that whatever your disability is, that's what's causing the need for, let's say, aided attendance, the attendance of another person to prevent from hazards of life and for daily needs, or housebound status. You can't leave the house because of a certain disability that's service-connected. This is an easy way to get your claim denied, even at the lower level, or if it goes to appeal at the board, because if you have, let's say, for example, you have a back disability that is non-service connected and you have another disability, let's say hearing loss, that's service connected, and the back is really causing you problems and you need some assistance with bathing, toileting, things of that nature, you're going to not want to include that on your application mentioning the non-service connected back disability because it will basically show that you really need special monthly compensation because of something that's not service connected. So make sure it's crystal clear. I know it may seem easy. I wouldn't be saying this if I haven't seen it multiple times when people have submitted things and it's like, listen, we got all this evidence to show that that's not what causes you need aid and attendance. Your non-service connected disabilities cause that, and your service connected disabilities actually don't cause any kind of limitation for you in needing of aid and attendance or preventing you from leaving the house. So I think when people think of special monthly compensation, they think of somebody who's an older person who basically can't get around, but it doesn't have to be that. I'll give some examples of what you can use to qualify for special monthly compensation. Usually we have veterans who have prostate cancer. They suffer from erectile dysfunction. That's loss of use of an organ. That qualifies for special monthly compensation. Let's say you qualify for hearing loss and you have profound hearing loss, not minimal hearing loss, profound, where you basically can't hear a lot of things. Even with the assistance of a hearing aid, you need somebody to help you so that you can drive and not get hit by something, or so that you can hear the fire alarm. You need to have somebody in the house. To prevent you from the hazards of life, you would need to submit evidence that shows that you need the assistance of somebody else, and you will be qualifying for additional compensation. Like I said, I won't mention the exact amount because this book doesn't have the 2023 numbers in it, but it ranges from at least $100 or more a month for having each additional, I guess, limitation, right? So depending on how many you have opportunities to have more than the normal standard compensation rate for disabilities. Another popular way to get special monthly compensation for housebound status, right? So you can get it for, you need the aided attendance with somebody, but you also can get it for housebound status, is if you, let's say, have a mental health disability and it prevents you from, you have anxiety, you can't leave the house. It doesn't have to be physically can't leave the house. It means that you suffer severely and you basically have stayed in the house for a majority of your time, except for maybe doctor's appointments or to the grocery store, right? That can establish housebound status for the purposes of special monthly compensation. And I just want to make sure it's clear because, like I said, sometimes people interpret it as like I need a nurse or things of that nature, and it doesn't have to be that, but having the assistance of your spouse to do certain things or somebody else to help you do certain things because you can't leave the house or because you can't do these things by yourself would entitle you to additional compensation, even if you're receiving total compensation already. Okay, I always stop and say, let me hear where our viewers are from. We get viewers from all branches of the military. So we got Coast Guard, Navy, Air Force, Army, and Marines. Comment below which branch of the military you served in. I like to shout those people out because they come from all over. And it's interesting to kind of see the various people that we reach on a weekly basis. Okay, so the first part I talked about was special monthly compensation under 38 USC 1114. The second part is 38 USC 1115 when you get additional compensation for dependents. And dependents in general sometimes means, and I guess it's a term of art in the VA world, but dependents can mean your spouse. Doesn't mean necessarily they have to really not have any job themselves. They can just be your spouse, your children, whether it be biological, stepchildren, adopted children, they all count, and parents that are dependent on you, right? So you can qualify for additional money in addition to what you're receiving as your disability compensation as your service-connected disabilities. You can get additional compensation for dependents. So to give you kind of a broad picture of the numbers, because like I said, now I don't have the exact the 2023 numbers, but on average for a spouse, you get additional $150 a month. If you have a spouse and dependents, another $250 plus average $75 for additional children that you have to support. And then you have parents, about $120 a month to prove dependent parents. So when you're proving dependent parents, you have to prove that they have very limited income. Usually it's somebody who's on limited only Social Security income. Basically shows that you contribute to most of their expenses. Let's say they live by themselves and you pay some of their expenses. That would count as a dependent spouse, a dependent parent. If they live with you, you can prove obviously that you're paying all the bills in the house and show what their Social Security retirement statement is or disability statement is to show that it's minimal, to show that these are their expenses, this is what they get, and basically you're supplementing it so that they can meet their basic needs. Obviously they're living with you, the cost of living, you can still explain that although they don't have that expense, if they did have that expense, you would be the one responsible for those expenses. So you would receive additional $120 a month for a dependent dependent parent. And I know some people, more so than people like to admit, that they have parents that they actually financially support. So this gives them additional income to kind of, it's not a lot of money, but additional income to kind of help out if you're trying to also help out your dependent parent. There are many levels to the special monthly compensation. They are ranked in different levels. So the most severe is if like you need hospitalization, but you're getting in-home care from, let's say, an in-home nurse. That'll be the most severe need, and you get the most additional special monthly compensation in addition to your regular disability compensation. If you have the loss of use of any organ, like I mentioned, it could be any kind of organ, right? Your arm, your hand, like I said, the erectile dysfunction, things of that nature, they will give you additional money. So keep in mind, if you feel like you are not getting the total amount you need, apply for special monthly compensation and specify what your additional need for money above and beyond the amount that you're receiving as a disability rating. Hopefully the information I provided in this video is helpful. Let me know in the comment section any other topics you would like me to talk about in future videos. Thank you, and see you guys in the next video.